How's it going? Right, something totally different this time. It's shed based, but it's about the shed, not about the bikes and stuff. It's been on my to-do list for ages. I have various security measures in place on my shed, but it's always good just to beef it up as much as you can. And I've been wanting to get a shed bar, which is basically just a big bit of metal in two brackets with a padlock on one side that goes on the outside of your doors, just to stop, you know, people getting in. And if they do manage to get the doors off and get in, it's very difficult for them to get stuff out because the bar's in the way. So it's just a good deterrent, really. Obviously nothing's foolproof, but hopefully if you were to try and remove this, it would be time consuming and noisy and, you know, not what a thief in the middle of the night wants to be doing. So yeah, so I had a look at some shed bars and stuff online. I've got double doors, so it makes it a little bit more expensive because of the length. And I thought, you know what, I could probably have a little rummage through the scrap bins and see what I can come up with, and make it on the cheap. Probably the only thing I'd have to buy is a nice big padlock, another one, which you'd probably have to buy if you bought a shed bar anyway. Most of them don't seem to come with a padlock. So yeah, so I've got some bits and bobs. Yeah, so it's going to cost me, I don't know, about 20 quid for a good padlock probably, and a bit of time. The other thing I have bought as well, which I've been meaning to buy for ages, are the old security screws. And they're just kind of like, you just remove your normal hinge and door screws and put these on, and it just makes it really difficult to get the hinges off to remove the doors. You know, obviously at the moment you could sneak up in the middle of the night with a little posy head. There's quite a sort of 6 hinges all in with quite a few screws in each one, but in theory you could take the doors off that way and it would be fairly quiet. These little buggers, because they've kind of got this chamfering on them, obviously they you put them in with you have to get quite a big fat blade to go in, and then obviously trying to get them out, they've got nothing to grip onto, they just slide off the chamfers, so it makes it very difficult to get screws out. So I'm going to replace all of those and also crack on with the shed bar. So we'll see. I'll make it up as I go along. I'll show you what raw materials I've got, and yeah, we'll have some fun. So we've got this bit of box section, heavy duty box section steel, rescued out the skip, about 1.25 inches. So that's going to be the main bar that goes across, and then obviously it's got to have something to go into, some sort of bracket. So I've had a rummage around. I was thinking of using a larger piece of box section and then sort of cutting it to, I don't know, about that sort of size. 2 of those, one on each side, and it will just slide through. Weld a big plate end on the end here so it can't go through the one end, and then the other end will just have a big fat padlock. Drill some holes through that so then I can bolt sort of carriage bolts through there, through the wall on the inside. That's a little bit more hard work, and that's, I don't know, it's a little bit loose and rattly. So I found some brackets here which are still fairly beef, and then I'm thinking weld them like that. I've got handy mounting points, weld them up, chop that end off, and we're going. So I'm going to give that a go first. So there we go, ready for welding. Get the clamp on, set up, and well, certainly not pretty. Got a long way to go to improve my welding, but I think it will hold. So that's one down, just one more to go. Now I love to see a beautiful weld, like the stack of pennies, you know, that beautiful rolling, neat weld line, but I am nowhere near that, so I've chosen to just grind this down a little bit just to neaten it up. So unfortunately that's the best we're going to get from me at the moment, but there we go, there's that one. So I'm going to chop that end off, probably clean it up with a slightly less abrasive disc, give it a coat of Hammerite, and that should be the brackets done. Right then, so with them all cleaned up, got all the edges nicely rounded, so no sharp edges. Before I paint them up with a bit of the older Hammerite, was it the textured hammered finish, covering up a multitude of sins, but weatherproof them. When I attach them, obviously I don't want anything that a would-be thief could undo, so carriage bolts are going to be the way forward. But it's a bit like putting a square peg in a round hole, so nothing more than starting to file them out, file some flats in there so I've got something to mount it. Depending on how long this takes me, I am thinking of putting 2 in for a bit of extra beef, but yeah, I should do really. But yeah, let's get them filed, see if I can file them out nicely for these first. There we go then, so there's a hole done. Not precision CNC'd, but it is by hand with the little baby hobby files, but does the job as we want it to. So I think, you know, I'm gonna be a lazy bastard, and I'm gonna put them up with one. If I feel it needs a bit more secure, I'm going to drill a hole and either put a bolt in or something, and then round the heads off it with the grinder or something like that. Or even if I leave them in, you know, yes, you could get that bolt out with screws, but then you're going to be stuck with these ones. So yeah, I think for the time being, I'm going to try them just with those, see how tough it feels. But I think now clean them up and get some Hammerite on them. Right, so the brackets are now dry, Hammerited, so I'm going to mount those up. I do think I'm going to need some extra support on there just to beef them up. I might drill a hole and just use the security screws, or I might bolt through, haven't quite decided yet. Right, so I need to cut the box section down to 6 feet, that's the length I need, and then this end, which is going to be the padlock end, so there'll just be a hole drilled through there. I want to keep it covered just to stop any, you know, moisture ingress, but obviously I want to tidy up this bit where it's been chopped off whatever it was on. So just going to whip the grinder out, clean that end up. Yeah, chop it down to 6 feet, and then I'll need to have a look around and see what I've got. Well, what I might do is actually then mount up the brackets on the shed itself, slide this through, and then see what I've got that will make for the side that's not padlocked. Obviously, you want something to stop it pulling through, and work out what I'm going to do there. There we go, so that's that end cleaned up, so that's the padlock end. Just looks a bit neater really. Obviously it's going to be outside on display, I don't want it to look too pikey. But yeah, that's fine. So now just cut it to length. There we go, chopped to length. I've just cleaned off a bit of the powder coat, ready for welding. Whatever I weld on the end there. It's not going to stay white either. I think this will go Hammerite. It just blends in a bit nicer from the outside, so yeah, but that'll be a nice base anyway. It'll just be these bits that I'll need to clean up. So brackets are mounted. Got a metal plate here, quite a thick one, a couple of mil thick, just as an extra bracing point. So the carriage bolts in there, I've just double nutted it because I had 2 nuts on there, so that's pretty secure. Then if we go outside, so we've got the main carriage bolt through, and then some security bolts I've put through there as well, and that properly solid. and probably a pain in the arse to get off. So I'll do the same for the other side. Right, so that's kind of what it's going to look like. There'll be a padlock on that side. However, I've made a bit of a balls up. Not really thought it. Well, I missed this vital point out. Obviously, when I'm testing it and moving it, I can move it in and out and we're like that. But then if there's a welded point that stops it moving out here, I can't remove the bar because I haven't got the clearance. Slightly schoolboy error on my part. So what I've done, I've just notched in the wood there, and then when I put a little end foot on there, it slides back, and I'm going to have another bracket mounted on the inside of my fence which will support that when you're moving it in and out. So yeah, a little bit of a balls up, but I think that we should be able to overcome that. There we go, problem solved. Just notched it out there, and then I've got a little stainless steel L-shaped bracket there that just holds it, so you can just slide it out, no problem. Obviously if I'd had like a very flat bar with a little turn in it, you could do the ones that swing out, but I'm using what I have available, so does the job. Okay, stainless steel bracket there just as a runner, just to hold it as I push it out through that side. There we go, and that's the end piece welded on now. So that's just enough, so that slides along the side of the shed that way, so it's nice and smooth, nothing sticking out there. I've got a lip here and a lip there, which obviously prevent it going through the bracket. So yeah, just give that a bit of anti-rust primer. Drill a hole out in for the padlock, and give it a hammer right. Happy days, that seems to work quite nicely. So we're all good there. I think it's time for a bit of paint. There we go. Coat of Hammerite. Just let it blend all in. It's not quite as stark as with the white. And as soon as that dries, grab a padlock and we should be laughing. There we go, and the finished result. So hopefully a nice bit of beefy bar. I've managed to scratch it already. Well done me, but I think it's not going to stay pristine, is it? Because it's a bit of heavy duty kit, but I mean, that is just not going anywhere. So hopefully that will just act as a nice deterrent, keep the thieves out. But yeah, fun little project.